For our ties to grow, it is equally necessary that there is a better understanding of India and the world on the part of young Americans. Your appreciation of a civilizational state and a fellow democratic polity that is daily overcoming enormous odds is essential. After all, we are natural partners only when our people have a strong sense of connect. In terms of diplomacy, India continues to press forcefully for an immediate cessation of hostilities and an end to violence. We encourage talks between Ukraine and Russia, including at the level of their presidents. Prime Minister has spoken to them both himself in this regard. This was precisely the message that was conveyed to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov when he was in Delhi. If India can be of any assistance in this matter, we will be glad to contribute. 2. The ground situation calls for urgent humanitarian relief. We have already provided 90 tons of relief material, and I was glad to see that many honorable members yesterday noted it and appreciated it. And we did it even while we were in the middle of an evacuation. So I think that also is a factor that should be recognized. Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Svydorenko called me a few days ago to request the supply of more medicines. The House will be glad to know that this is underway and delivery should start very soon. 3. We will work with the international community and partner countries to mitigate the economic hardships that are resulting from this conflict. Obviously, our focus is to soften its impact on our own economy. But equally, there are partners who are going through very tough times. Coordinating on lowering energy prices is one collective initiative. In the case of a neighbor like Sri Lanka, we are even supplying fuel on credit and food on credit. Food security is another major concern. India has been approached for the supply of wheat and sugar by many countries, and we are responding positively. A single thing we've done, a difference we've made to the world in the last 75 years, it is the fact that we are a democracy. If today there's a sense in the world that, for all the ups and downs of history, what's happening in different geographies, but somehow in all of us there is that gut sense that democracy is in some form the future. A large part of it is due to the choices that India made and choices that India stuck with in very difficult situations. And there was a time when in this part of the world we were pretty much the only democracy. So if democracy is global today, or we see it as global today, I think in some measure that credit is due to India. Now, it's also fair when we look back at 75 years, we should reflect on where we have come up short. And I would say the 2-3 areas which are quite obvious. One, clearly we didn't pay the kind of attention to our social indicators, our human resources, as we should have. 2, we didn't concentrate as much on manufacturing and technology strengths as we should have. And 3, in terms of foreign policy, probably in the mix of various elements, we didn't give as much importance, as much weight to hard security as we should have. And I say this because, this is not a polemical criticism of the past. Other countries who were in similar situations did exactly this, and which is one of the reasons why some of them are today ahead. It is something we are trying to do now. I mean, these are exactly the areas we are trying to correct at this point of time. So it's not that it can't be done. It is being done even as we speak. So what is it I think we should be doing in the future? One, I would say most of all, to me, the next 25 years is about capability, capability, and capability in every possible domain, in every possible way. We should be completely fixated on outcomes. We should be utterly practical about how we leverage the international environment. So a lot of the conversations which we have when we go abroad is about capability building. The second is, and that goes back to some remarks you made about how we are perceived. Look, we have to be confident about who we are. I think it's better to engage the world on the basis of who we are rather than try and please the world as a pale limitation of what they are. This idea that others define us, that somewhere there we need to get approval of other quarters, I think that's an era we need to put behind us. The only thing which keeps me awake at night is jet lag occasionally, but not too often actually. But if I were to think of three things, I think one, the shocks that the international order has been experiencing. Because if you were to look at the last 3 decades, globalization, spread of technology, these were even the rebalancing, the prosperity, the high growth rates in Asia particularly, these were the dominant trends. And in particularly the last 2 years, since we've had the last physical meeting of the Raisina dialogue, we've really had some big shocks. COVID was a shock. Afghanistan was a shock. Ukraine is a shock. In a sense, the sharper friction between big powers, between the West and Russia, between the United States and China, these two have added to it. So I think I won't say it keeps me awake at night, but certainly it's something which anybody doing foreign policy needs to spend a lot of time trying to get the world right. The conflict in Ukraine is concerned, we have a fairly clear position that has been articulated, a position which emphasizes the urgent cessation of fighting, which urges a return to diplomacy and dialogue, which stresses the need to respect sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. But since you raised it as a larger issue, I do think this is an issue of concern not just for India, because the fact is that there are different countries who in a sense evolve a combination of values, interests, history, experience, culture to approach conflicts and specific situations. I mean, you spoke about Ukraine. I could also, I remember less than a year ago what happened in Afghanistan, where an entire civil society was thrown under the bus by the world. Or we in Asia face our own sets of challenges, which often, I would say, impact on the rules-based order. So, I would say, quite honestly, all of us would like to find the right balance of our beliefs, of our interests, of our experience, and that's really what we're all trying to do.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.